talking to you. Sorry, Peter. Stuart's still trying to get in.
You got anybody else waiting, Peter?
No, nobody else waiting.
Okay.
I'll keep an eye out for people arriving.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the emergency or extraordinary meeting of Brixworth Parish Council, which is really to discuss the Section 106 monies. As before, if there's a serious outage on the broadband, we'll stop the meeting then and reconvene as soon as possible. And also to remind everyone, the meeting is being recorded. Peter, have you received any apologies?
Just from Councillor Mitchell.
Yeah, and I've had a note from Councillor Parker to say he's going to be late to joining. So, is everyone quite happy to receive Tom's apologies?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, excellent. Item 3 is declarations of interest. Any member have a declaration of interest on any of your Yes, Lynn?
On mute. Yes, on the item to do with the Section 106 with respect to the Brixworth Juniors Football Club submission. It's a non-pecuniary interest because I'm the wife of the chairman, the secretary.
Okay. Anybody else? No? Okay. Okay, item 4 is the public open forum session. This is for our guests to have a chance to speak on this. Really, we want to limit this to 15 minutes in total. So if people could be brief and to the point, that would be excellent. Rob, Simon,
yeah, do you want the football club to go first? Yeah.
No,
well, it doesn't matter. I just know you two are there. I don't know.
Yeah. I would like to speak when it's convenient, please.
Well, we have an agenda that we have to stick to be honest with you.
Yeah, so we want to do the public open forum session now. Could I ask who Wendy Bradford is, please?
Yes, I'm just an interested party.
Okay, thank you.
I need to try and get Mike Parsons into the meeting because he's having trouble. So I'll just send him a link if that's all right.
Simon, do you want to go?
Yeah, if everybody's happy. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so dear councillors, thank you for allowing us the opportunity to briefly talk about the football club submission. Brixworth Juniors are asking for the parish and sports committee support in applying for a 3G Astro training venue to enable the village to have superb facilities in which to both train and play football. This will be fully managed by the club in partnership with the council, along with a 20-year lease being issued. The facility will enable the club to reduce its external training at venues such within Moulton and Kingsthorpe. We will reduce the environmental impact from parents having to travel to these locations, and it will enable younger teams to play league football matches during the times when pitches are waterlogged. The documents that you have reviewed show that we do not have all the answers formulated currently. We acknowledge we have work to do. However, we need the full support of the parish council in order to enable us to proceed with this fantastic opportunity and complete the funding application from the Football Foundation. This is, as you are aware, a chicken and egg situation, but a superb opportunity that may not come around again, which will give the village footballers a place to call home and be proud of. I'd just like to quickly recap on the capital funding criteria, which is point 1, the level of support from the parish council, which is obviously being discussed tonight. 2, the Daventry local football pitch plan in partnership with the Football Foundation has scored Brixworth 2 out of 4 with a high priority scheme for a 3G pitch. Number point 3, match funding would be available from the Football Foundation. The community benefits point 4, that children will always play football, even in adverse conditions, have somewhere closer to train. We would add further participation from girls football, walking football for the over 50s, disabled football, and plus the use from the local school should they wish. The sustainability of the project would be 100% on with the football club. We have reserves for general maintenance and we have a 10-year pitch repair plan. Additional indirect support would come from the Football Foundation in the way of project management, professional fees and legal fees, which are all included. Daventry District Council funding and support provided to us as an organisation has been zero over the years, and as such I am led to believe this will score highly on the criteria submission. The Ashway plans demonstrate it will fit within the footprint, providing we extend the car park and use part of the woodland area. We note from your reserves that funds have been set aside for the car park improvements. These of course could be doubled with the Football Foundation funding, and we would also like to ask and request for part funding from the Parks and Gardens grant to be considered within this project. I thank you for your time and look forward to any questions. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody? Rob, do you want to add anything?
No, I think from my point of view, it's best we have one single voice tonight. And I think Simon and I have spoken about it for quite a long while, to be honest.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Does anybody? Elaine?
Yes, please. Just 2 questions. The first one is, I realise there's lots and lots of stages to this plan, but could the AstroTurf just be built, and would it be able to be used straight away, or is there another phase of the project that needs to happen in advance of that? And the second question was, a note that there's the school uses on there. Is that anything that you've considered? Of the school expressed any interest, or were you thinking of sort of after school groups or anything like that, just knowing that schools aren't terribly flush with money? I was wondering if that was income you would think of thinking of relying on.
So the questions in order. The project, what we have to do following the proposal that's been put forward is go to the Football Foundation to complete a funding application form with the Football Foundation to begin with, which isn't onerous, won't take long, and then essentially from that point, then it obviously goes to Daventry District Council. If it's all passed, then yes, the construction of that 3G Astro pitch would just take place whenever it was all agreed by all parties. So there's nothing else to do in between. And with regards to the school, currently all I've done with the school, because I've got to be very loose and careful about who I approach, because obviously this is all about a partnership and funding and partnership with the council, so I need your support first. The school haven't come back to me. Yes, I understand the school have limited funds. They currently use their playground to train on and use as a sporting facility. We would just discuss with the school about usage during the daytime. That would be the plan from the football perspective.
Okay. Jackie?
Is your application reliant on the Football Foundation money then, because we don't know that that's actually available, or whether they will provide it?
The Football Foundation have done a letter of intent to the football club, which you have within the documents. The Football Foundation are prepared and set to come along and carry out the further consultation and put together the final costings once the parish council are on board with the project. So the Football Foundation have the money, and Northants FA and the Football Foundation, along with the football pitch plan from Daventry, indicate that the money is available to be used for their project.
Sandra?
I think Councillor Barrett was in front of me.
Okay, sorry, Ian.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Councillor Moxon. I'm a little bit perturbed about this whole thing, that feasibility has not been looked at as a most important thing of all. Already we're being talked about now, well, the school might be interested. Well, are they or aren't they? I'm sorry, but at this stage, Chairman, if we're expected to take part in a project that could cost in excess of £400,000, allocating a large amount of our resources, space-wise, to a third-party organisation forever, having very little say in how it's going to be looked after, at least we deserve the courtesy of a decent feasibility study before we start. Now, the Parish Council's done a feasibility study as such, and small though it was, and youth football was third in the list, not first. So I think we owe it to our people in the village to at least have a feasibility plan so we know where we're going. I apologise where I am. I'm in bed ill, I'm afraid. So I'm sorry I'm not very visible.
Still bad back.
Yeah, very much, I'm afraid. So that's the point I'd make. We want feasibility study far more than we'd like to have it. So at the moment, all I hear at the moment is, we'd like to have this, it'd be good for football. I mean, the Football Federation, whoever they are, do they allow other sports on it? Last time we went down this road, they didn't.
This funding proposal is for a 3G facility for the football club to use to avoid the use of facilities outside of the village. It's to allow the children to play football when the conditions and the pitches are waterlogged, and we would encourage and ask that the football, we would introduce walking football, disabled football. These are all sports which are on the increase along with girls football. The only reason the school was mentioned is because I'm sure they might find a use of such a facility, because the 3G grass pitch is much easier and more beneficial for the children to play on than, let's say, a concrete hard surface.
So is the answer, other sports would not be allowed? It's just purely football?
It's a football facility, yes.
It is just football, thank you.
Sandra?
There were a few things that I picked. I'm going to have to flip in and out sort of my of the windows here. It says here the facility which can be used by third-party football clubs. Does that mean that you would allow non-Brixworth football clubs to use this facility? Is that what you're saying there?
Well, other football clubs would be allowed to try and rent the facility, like Moulton Football Club do, on times when the Brixworth Football Club are not using it. Because what you're trying to achieve is a funding revenue stream alongside your own funding pot for the contingencies for the future.
Okay. Can I just answer that, because this Section 106 money, if you read the documents, is very much within the confines of Brixworth, and it says here, I've got it in front of me here, the provision and/or enhancement of outdoor sports facilities within Brixworth, and I would thought that an extension of that would be and for Brixworth residents, and not for residents outside of Brixworth.
That's fine, Sandra. We can incorporate that. We don't have to. We don't have to allow other football clubs to come and use a venue, but you're trying to use a facility to the best of its usage. But I'm quite happy to stipulate that it is only a facility to be used by Brixworth residents. Yes, for the Brixworth Football Club, Brixworth Walking Football, Disabled Football, Girls Football, and so no other football club can use it. But I'm not sure if the council, I mean, if that's necessary, then that's an easy for us. We would just stipulate that. Yes.
Okay. Is it okay if I carry on?
Yes, I've got the questions. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm a bit confused by your statement of we understand that Crick Football Club has undergone similar projects and Crick Parish Council has donated the land to their football club. Can you just explain that, because that's not my understanding of what Crick has done?
Okay, that's in the proposal that just indicates that Crick, during their conversations with the council, have been the land. It's basically they currently own, the football club owns the land at Crick. So apologies if that's caused some confusion. Obviously, we're not after trying to buy the land. We just need a long lease on a piece of land in the village to fulfil a dream of the football club to have a use of a training venue.
Okay, because with all due respect, actually they don't own the land at Crick. The land is still owned by Crick Parish Council. So it's on a lease of 25 years, and there's a charity management group of people that look after it, etc., etc. And there are certain legal agreements between the charity and Crick Parish Council, but certainly Crick Football Club does not own that land. It is still owned by the council itself. I just think that needs to be clarified for my fellow councillors here in Brixworth.
Okay, we've noted that. I can only go back to the chairman of the football club, and I'll get. Well, I don't need clarity, because really, it's apologies if we put that in there. It's a mistake on our part. We're just really concentrating on Brixworth and yourselves from a lease perspective.
Okay. I'm struggling with my computer and my notes here, so Chair, if anyone else wants to go ahead whilst I try to recover my questions, that would be great.
Yeah, Elaine's got a question. Elaine?
Frozen.
It was more a comment, really, that presumably it could be a stipulation that these facilities, whatever they are, whatever we go for, football or anything, could be used only by Brixworth residents, or they could have priority in some kind of booking system. But I think when, Simon, correct me if I'm wrong, but presumably when you say it could be used by other football clubs, Brixworth Juniors isn't necessarily the only football club in the village, is it? It could still be used by Brixworth residents who are other football clubs, and it doesn't have to be Brixworth Juniors that set up the senior football or the veteran ladies football or whatever it is. It could be other clubs in the village.
Exactly. Still. Yes. Yeah. Okay. That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Simon, I've got a question for you. On the figures you say it totals around about 400,000. A bit earlier you said that the fees are going to be met by the Football Foundation. Well, isn't that part of the overall cost of the scheme? So is the 400,000 more like 440, 450,000 to allow for all the fees?
All I can tell you at the minute, Chairman, is that the last 3G 7v7 pitch that the Football Foundation put together, they had a cost of approximately £320,000 plus contingency, professional and legal fees, which were a further £45,000, and then obviously there is VAT to pay on top of that. Really, Mr. Chairman, what we really need in order to get the fixed amount from the Football Foundation is for them to come here in the knowledge that the parish are supporting the project. So along with Northants FA and the Football Foundation, we then really drill down and get these costs organised. At the minute they can only work with the project that they've done in the past year, which, to be fair to them, is an all singing, all dancing facility, which obviously we're not you know, we're a juniors football club with the seniors attached to us. That facility they put together was for a large East Midlands project. So, again, like I referred to, this is very much chicken and egg. If the parish were good enough to support the football club, that means then that we can really crack on and get the final figures together.
Anyone else, Sandra?
So a few months ago, Simon, we obviously met. There was Peter, the clerk, myself, you, and Rob met up with the chap from the Football Federation. And
Northants FA, I think. It was from Northants FA who came along. Ian Tinto.
Oh, Peter, can you recall
I can't
that at
remember
all?
the chap's name. I thought it was the funding chap, I must admit. But perhaps
Yeah,
it was from Northants FA.
It was definitely Ian Tinto from Northampton FA. The Football Foundation have never visited a council meeting.
Right. Okay. Because my take from that meeting was that they would look far more favourably on funding Brixworth Junior Football Club if they felt that they were embracing other sports within the village. So like a shared vision for sports within Brixworth, rather than it being solely focused on a singular sport, which I think goes hand in hand with what Sport England is saying, is that people don't focus on singular sports anymore. They want a community cohesion, and that was definitely my recollection of that meeting. Are you now saying that actually, if that was Northants Football Federation, are they not joining the dots up with the Football Foundation or Federation? They both begin with flipping F, don't they, at the end of the day? Are they not talking off the same hymn sheet here? Have you got one guy saying rah 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 100% football, let's not make it community based, and then you've got the other guy that we met up with a few months ago going, actually no, we want to embrace other sports.
I think you would need to find the minutes from that meeting, but Ian Tinto from the Northants FA, they work hand in hand with the Football Foundation. Okay, the Football Foundation funding policy is that it must be a 3G football pitch to enable football from a league perspective to be played on that facility. What Ian Tinto referred to, but I do recall him saying that he would only back the Northants FA, along with the Football Foundation, would back what the football club wanted. The football club, to the football club's worry with a Muga pitch, and the reason we can't train. First of all, we can't play matches on the Muga pitch. So when the pitches are waterlogged or there's ice on the ground, no football gets played. So 150 children don't play football. And you can't train on a Muga facility in the winter months generally when it's icy or freezing. Ian Tinto has done, so Northants FA have done some projects which do involve Muga pitches, but they revolve around 5v5 pitches, and as you rightly say, they can play multi-sports on there. The Football Foundation will not do a 50%. They will not do 100% match funding unless that facility is structured around the football to be played anytime, evening, day, night, 24 hours a week.
Exclusively football, then they will only match fund if it's exclusively football.
The Football Foundation. So in fairness to both of the parties, if that they would get involved in small projects based around a 5v5 Muga pitch, without a doubt, okay? And like you've said, Sport England they are very committing. So Sport England have currently also got a funding stream in operation, and for 150k, so 150k is on the table from the Sport England Funding Foundation to put Moogers, and like you say, in order to try to keep everybody happy and have multi-games use. The downside to the football club, when a facility becomes multi-use, it therefore means that anybody's on it any time of the day, and the surface will need regenerating more often. It's not suitable to play football from a competitive scenario. It's only really suitable for light training sessions, and they're the stumbling blocks for the football club. So it's a real difficult situation, but the football club would like to see children playing football every weekend, come rain, shine or flooding. But you're right to say the Northants FA, they have done small funding projects and they do involve Moogers. Ian Tinto came along and asked the question, what is it the football club wants? And really what the football club would like is a facility that is potentially home, is suitable to play football all year round, can be managed by us, can be future-proofed by us, and will be looked after by us, so that the location and the facility doesn't end up like the facility that's currently at St David's that just gets left to rack and ruin. That would be the football. So Ian Tinto is right, but the Football Foundation and both the FA look for their football clubs to have 3G pitches on them.
Okay, Ian, I think you've got a question.
Thank you. Yes, just one brief one. I don't know if I can ask the football representative. It's Stephen, was it? Simon. Sorry, Simon, got your name wrong. I don't know if you've read the report by DLP Consultants. You possibly haven't. They are the consultants which Barrett's employed when they first decided how to spend or how to give the Section 106 money, which constitutes a large part of this. And if I go to that report, in 4.10, it says the sports strategy for West Northampton states that instead of individual sporting complexes, multi-sport hubs should be created. I wonder what you'd say to that.
All I can say to that, Councillor, is that there is a new Daventry District Council football pitch plan that has just been released in May 2020, which I've sent you the link. So the link is within our proposal, and within that link, Brixworth as a village is on their high priority for a 3D small-sided pitch to be procured and placed on there due to the size of the football club. So the football club is the third largest in the county, has had no input from any FA funding in the past, and is somewhere that both Daventry and the Football Foundation have identified as somewhere that needs further funding due to the football pitch state within the village. So the two pitches that we currently play on are aware of the use, the amount of use, and the fact that we have lots of matches cancelled when the winter months come along. There must be an updated to the new local football fit pitch proposal is linked there, and that, I would assume that's come about after the one you've got there.
Well, the one I got there is one that provided the 106 money. There's also been a subsequent report, Nortot Consultants, and they reported in 2017-2019, and they came to conclusions about sports priorities as well in the district. But I'd perhaps better leave that till we get on to the debate later on.
Okay, is any more questions for Simon before we perhaps move on to Mike Parsons for cricket?
You asking me to speak now?
Yes, please, Mike. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Apologies for being late. I use Apple software and I had to download the app all over again to get in, so I'm sorry. Firstly, let me say that Brixworth Cricket Club recognise that there's effectively competition, constructive competition for either a multi-purpose site or an all-weather pitch on St David's. So to some degree, we're recognising that is a potential situation. So what we're seeking support from this particular grant process is for us to be able to continue to operate effectively on St David's. We, for those who don't know, use St David's for our third and fourth teams, and we use the Northampton ground for the first and second teams and all the other training. We want to continue to use St David's because the third and fourth teams usually are comprised of older players, or they're young, or with female players. And it is the St David's, we've been operating there since 1972. That's the earliest I can trace, ever since effectively that the St David's ground existed. But St David's is or has had problems with vandalism in the past. And we're seeking some help in trying to protect our equipment, which is stored in one of the brick sheds, which is the council sheds. And so we're requesting support for being able to put in a roller door, similar to the one that already is in place on the council's own equipment. And we're also seeking support for some help in replacing a motor roller. We maintain the playing square area ourselves, and we have had, at least over the last 5 years, and it's about to be renewed. But I hope, because when we discussed it some years ago, it will be renewed and we'll be able to continue to play cricket there. The challenge for us as a cricket club is we know that there's pressure on attempting to make better use of St David's, and generally we support that because it is the open area within the village. But I'd like to register to move the playing surface that the cricket ground is on now is virtually impossible. So please, when you're looking at the plans for any multi-purpose use within that area, respect that to move that playing surface is a lot of work, and we have some 10 playing areas on that site. They're cut each week, etc., etc. To replace them is about £2,000 each, and then you'd have several years before we'd be able to use it again. So please, when you go on to decisions later, if you help us on the areas that I'm looking for, or we're looking for, please bear in mind that we're looking to leave the playing surface, that is in fact the area that we cut and look after, in the place where it is. One thing that I would say is that we haven't put in the bid, but also when you look at the fencing, should you decide to put a multi-purpose area or indeed support a hard surface area for football there, that fencing is important. And because, as I said in my opening remarks, that security has been a difficulty there. That also applies to our sight screens, and so it isn't in our bid, but I just want to, when you get to the point of making decisions, please bear in mind that if you do decide that you're going to put a multi-purpose area of some sort, that we'd like to talk to you about being able to take advantage of that to some degree, because of being able to use one edge of it at least, so that we can construct with you a fence to put our sight screens in. We store the frames over the winter. They are there now, and when we use them in the games, we put the white panels in. Now they get damaged if there's a wind out. So the right thing to do is to be able to put them up at the beginning of the season when there's barely any wind. Select the day for that, and take them down at the end of the season when you clear away for the winter. I spent the club spent £1,200 last year in trying to replace damaged ones. So we're looking to find some more permanent solution. That's not for now. The bids that we're asking for is support in improving security and to be able to improve the quality of the grass surface by improving our roller and replacing it. The one we've got, bluntly, has seen better days. It is in a position where it needs to be retired off.
Thank you, Mike. Elaine, are you asking the question or are you just holding the pen? Jackie?
Okay, can I ask? The roller, is the roller just for St David's, or will it be used on the Northampton Road site as well?
No, Elaine, we have to have duplicate equipment in both sites.
Oh, right, so it's just for St David's.
Yeah, it's just everything that I'm asking for is just for St David's. I'm not looking for any support for Northampton Road at all. We recognise that's our responsibility.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mike? Sandra?
Mike, if just out of interest, have you ever seen a Muga being used for cricket? There are obviously the most obvious sports that they are used for is basketball, mini football, hockey, etc., etc. Have you ever seen one used for cricket?
Not an external one, but internal ones, yes. Because you can fashion a game, a short game for youngsters on an artificial area. Yes, you could. There's no reason why it couldn't be done.
Okay.
Lynn?
Hi, Mike. Can I just ask, what's the cricket club's unrestricted reserves?
I'm not sure I know what you mean by that, because we don't actually. Let me tell you where we are. We don't keep money in reserve. We tend to earn during the summer, not at the moment, of course, and then spend it as we need it. The bulk of our money goes back into the sport, and over the last 12 years or so, we've been in Northampton Road. Our concentration of effort has been to try and improve that ground there and buy the equipment we need. Only now we're beginning to improve the area within the sports hall itself. But we don't actually hold reserves. I can tell you that currently our bank account stands at £19,000. Now the bulk of that has come from grants from Sport England and from the Daventry District Council fund, or agency rather, for government funds, because we have a bar and it's closed. And we pay rates, so we're operate as a business, and so generally by the end of the winter, that we've got no money left, and that was the position in April this year. When I thought we weren't going to earn any money, I thought we'd be in serious trouble. But we had an appeal. Members have actually stood up and donated funds, so I can see that we're going to see, even if we had no income for the balance of this year, and that's probably, or at least possible. I think we will end up during the call by April next year, when we start earning again. We'll be around £4,000 in reserve. So if you said how much do you think you're going to have left over by having paid your bills over the next 3 months, that's what my estimate would be.
Thanks very much.
Okay. Elaine?
I don't know if Mike can answer this question, but maybe you can, Stephen or Peter. The requests that the cricket club have made, the security requests and the roller, would they be able to be applied for under our grants policy anyway, even if this doesn't go through as part of the Section 106? Are they suitable things they sound like they would be suitable things to ask for a grant for?
The only thing I would say against that is our grants policy is only one grant in 12 months, I think is correct.
That's correct.
So I'm not sure, Mike, when your last one was.
Well, it was last winter. To answer to Elaine's point, we try to be as independent as possible. You were generous enough to give us a grant of £4,844 last winter in order for us, as a 50% cost, it ended up more than that, as it always does, but it's 50% cost in order for us to create additional ladies' toilets, as we're trying to make the club much more a family club rather than a youth and a men's club. And that's what's driving our policies in the way that we operate. But we could apply, yes, but I think we recognise that we shouldn't be keep going back to the parish council for this on the same fund. It wouldn't be, if I were in your position, I'd be saying, well, the cricket club had some last year or the year before, we've got to look at other agencies. So we've targeted the Section 106 funding because it isn't effectively from the money providers in Brixworth. It's come from effectively a windfall from Barrett's. It's something we need, and we felt this was the right time to look at it. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Any other questions?
Sorry, just one other one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to I think you've got about four junior teams. Would they be able to?
Download Google Home app on a phone or tablet.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Right, start again.
Jackie, I didn't hear that, sorry.
You've got some junior teams, and you were talking about the fact that some junior teams could play on a multi-usage area in Amuga. Would your junior teams be able to play on one if we had one?
I think we would find a way to fashion a kind of game, yes. There's no reason why we couldn't.
Okay.
Sorry, beg your pardon. But when I talked about the juniors playing on St David's, that is in a men's game.
Yes, I know. I've seen them play.
You've seen them play, yeah. So we had that, and last year we had, the first time in the county, we had a team containing a mother and her son in the 14. So it's a deliberate policy to try and make the game much more attractive to all, rather than simply exclusive. Although we do play, of course, on the first team in the Premier Division. We are, one of the top 10 sides in the county.
Okay, thank you.
Sandra?
There seems to be quite a lot of emphasis about we need this money because we need to protect the groundsmen. The groundsmen need to be obtaining job satisfaction, etc., etc. And I just sort of sat there and I thought, I'm not quite sure what this has got to do with enhancing or providing sports in the village, and likewise with the security of the equipment. I just thought I'd just throw it out there, and I'm just going, not. I just can't see how that is relevant to what this Section 106 is about.
Well, it's difficult. Sometimes when you're faced with these forms, you don't know what to write down. Let's be clear. And so how do you actually respond? The equipment that we've got is in poor condition. It needs replacing. I don't think we would allow anybody who wasn't experienced to sit on that. They can't sit on it. They have to stand. If you ever watch them using the roller, they have to stand. It's rusty. I don't know how old it is. It's pretty vintage, but it really is past its sell-by date. And so to answer your question, we need it, and it's. I guess it's. You picked a question relating to, well, what the hell does it mean? I don't really know what I meant. It helps our groundsmen because they'll have a better piece of equipment to use. Full stop.
I presume it'll help improve the playing surface if it's a new roller.
Yes, one that works.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did think, sorry, through the chair, I did think that, I seem to recollect that you were very proud of the pitches for having a very good bounce, a very safe bounce. So it surprised me to see in the application that you felt that it needed to be a safe bounce. I thought it was already the safest bounce in Northamptonshire.
Yeah, but it's all. But you want to maintain that, don't you? Because if it's already working and it's doing well and it's got a reasonable bounce, as it is safe. After all, health and safety of the people who are actually playing the game is important. And yes, you're right. We do want to maintain a good bounce and regular bounce. It is one of the safest areas in the county. It's known for that, and we're proud of that, and we want to maintain it.
Okay. Can I just say one last thing? I mean, I know you were saying, Mike, that you didn't want to keep coming to the parish council and applying for a grant year in, year out, and what we do every quarter. Market the grant to all and sundry in Brixworth. Just because people don't come, you shouldn't be embarrassed about you coming year in, year out. If people don't ask for it, it's just going to sit there, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yes, I do realise that, but look, we know each other. We want to be seen to be fair, and that's it.
Yeah.
If you're encouraging me to come along, okay, we'll come along.
I just wanted to say, don't be embarrassed to keep asking us.
Come on, you know I'm not embarrassed.
Okay. You won't be embarrassed to say no, Mike.
No. And yes, and you always you've always challenged us in order to better present it in a manner which you will find acceptable. That's fine.
Okay.
Any more questions for Mike? No? Elaine, you've got your hand up. I don't know if that's from the last time or not.
She's on mute. Her hand's up and she's on mute.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Chairman.
Okay, I think that probably concludes the public open forum session. So we'll move on to section 5, which is for decisions. It's to consider the 106 bids for funding. Point 1 is to note the available section 106 funding and timescales. Peter's prepared a PowerPoint slideshow for this, which I did send out to the councillors, albeit a bit late this afternoon, mainly because somebody had asked if there was any more information. Peter, do you want to go through your slide presentation?
Sure, go through it, yeah. Can everybody see that? Yes.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah. I mean, for the newer councillors, just to explain what 106 funding is. I mean, basically, it's because all the new housing and other developments puts more pressure on local facilities. If builders can't provide those facilities on site, then they pay off-site monies to the council to fill the gap. So if they can't provide recreation grounds or open spaces, they'll hand money over to the council and they'll deliver somewhere else in that area. It's all tight in a legally bound document which is between Daventry District Council and the developer, and that's within a specific time scale. So you've got to spend all of the money on the intended subject, i.e. if it's parks or whatever, and it's all got to be done to follow the appropriate process and to meet their deadlines. The danger is they'll reclaim the money back if it's not completed within the time scale. Within this section 106, everybody's aware of the doctor's surgery, and they're also aware of the car parking spaces at the community centre. But we've also got money for open spaces. That was in round terms £65,000 for providing and enhancing parks and public gardens. In terms of indoor sports, they're allocated 67,882 for indoor youth and adult recreation facilities. Out of that, approximately £7,000 was linked specifically for developing youth facilities for indoor. So any indoor facility needs to meet the youth and also the adult criteria, but with an additional focus for youth. Outdoor sports in round terms, £109,000. We do have to have the interest added to these figures, by the way. That again, there's a small percentage allocated for outdoor youth facilities, and within that legal agreement it actually said outdoor youth facilities, but also referred to clause 4.7 within the legal document. And 4.7 within the legal document quite clearly states that really any schemes, it's got to fall within the definition of outdoor sports, but it must also be spent in accordance with the neighbourhood plan for Brixworth. The neighbourhood plan for Brixworth, it's got a couple of pages on health and wellbeing, no specific policies, but it clearly identifies the general need that additional playing facilities are needed, and as well as improved maintenance the existing areas which are obviously under pressure, and that it does name the Ashway and St David's for being the areas under pressure. In the 2014 public consultation, the shortage of facilities for sport and recreation was identified by the Brixworth public. So Daventry, who obviously gave planning permission for the development, also formulated the Section 106 legal agreement. So all the legalities has been between the District Council and the developers' legal team. So Daventry hold all the money that we've talked about. It's in their interest account, and they will release it as and when they get suitable applications that meet all the criteria. So they'll receive any forms direct from the applicants. They'll consider the bids and any supporting documents. They'll do all the donkey work. They'll scrutinise the bids, and the planning officer will ensure compliance with the legal agreement. They won't release money if it doesn't match the demands of the Section 106 agreement. All the bids, the forms are scored up based upon the content that we've put in the form, and there's a maximum score of 100, and you need to score 75 to release the funding. Anything less than you may only get part funding or nothing at all. Daventry make the decision. For the smaller bids, I understand it's an officer decision, so it's their strategic management team who make the decision. The larger bids, it'll probably go to a member group, councillor group, and again they'll make the decision on that. Subject, if the application forms went in the next month or two, we would expect the decision to be taken in October, and they would release the funds, and they'd also monitor implementation. So it's very much Daventry deal with all the detail, all the scrutiny. They look at the accounts, the constitution. They'll analyse every little bit. So our role really is to assist them in the decision-making process, and we can do that by confirming local need and reflecting the views of the community. We can provide letters of support for the applicants to submit with their bid, and the side issues for us is obviously addressing the legal and financial implications of any decisions, because, for example, there may need to be legal agreements with the football club if they go one route. There might be financial decisions if we do our own schemes but there's a cash shortfall, and we also need to consider the project management of our own schemes. Are we going to deliver that on time, on budget, and to the satisfaction of the public? So just to conclude, outdoor is the timescale is February 22, currently stood at 116,500. Indoor February 22, currently stood at 72,600, and Parks and Gardens September 2022, 65,263. So that's the money that we're talking about tonight. And really at this stage we're talking about, in principle, do we want a Mooga, do we want a 3G football pitch, do we want improved cricket facilities, etc. And then the detail very much comes later, after we've given the green light. We come up with the detailed plans and the detailed budgets and the third-party letters of support and much more consultation. For example, we may need to consult residents on if there's any changes at either of the recreation grounds, and there's obviously additional consultations we would have to do, and maybe even planning permissions in some cases. So really that's just an overview for members, which I hope they found useful.
Thank you very much, Peter. Yes, I thought it was very useful, I must admit. To go along with that overview, paper A also shows the reserves that we currently hold. In addition to the Section 106 monies, we do have additional money for play equipment, we have money for car parks, we have project money. So there are ways to sort of move the figures up a bit. And then obviously, we can see where we go from there.
Okay.
I think we've also looked at maybe using some litter bins if we need additional litter bins in the areas. We've got money set aside for litter bins. So that's where we are financially, and that's the overview of it. Moving on to the applications.
Sorry, Stephen, there's two hands up for this item.
Sorry, Elaine. Sandra.
So I've obviously looked at the various bits and bobs of possibly extra monies, including the SIL, etc., etc.
Yeah.
With general reserves, we've got 82.2k there, but obviously we need to have a minimum amount of reserves, don't we? So we can't just dip into it. So realistically, how much have we got available out of general reserves, please?
I think our policy is between 3 and 6 months running costs.
So we would want to keep probably 40k back.
40. We'd want to keep 40 in the bank, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Elaine?
I was wondering if you could just outline to us what we need to do. Do we have to decide on a scheme that we want to deliver as a village? Can we give we support all of these, we would like to do all of these, because basically Daventry is going to make that decision anyway? What is our role?
I think it would be very hard to offer support for all the schemes, because obviously the money's not there, and there's no way we could, as a parish council, could commit to all the schemes. I mean, if sort of, okay, the cricket club are after round figures 10k, the bowls club's about 5k, the community centre's 65, I think, the football club's 400,000, which I think they're looking for 110. And if we go for St David's Muga, then that includes playground equipment and everything, so that's sort of pushing the best part of 300,000.
No,
so
it's not 300. 200.
No, it's
9, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Not 300.
Sandra, the quote that we had from Complan doesn't include for any fees whatsoever. There's no contingency in it, and we've got to build all those costs in for when we go to Daventry with figures. So we need to make sure that we've got the correct figures before we go any further.
Yeah, but I'm just saying 300 is I think way off what anyway, we're not here to discuss the pennies.
So no, I don't think we can support every single one because the money's not available. Lynn, you need to put your microphone on.
Hold on. I've got a bit of an option that I've looked into for the parish council. We could, if we decided to go down the route of sort of supporting all the submissions, we could actually do the MUGA through getting a Sport England inspired facilities fund, which isn't suitable for the football club, but because we're a parish council, we can apply for up to 150,000, and for that you put in 50-50 match funding, and to match the funding you can get a PWLB loan. So the cost of the council would be 75,000, which would cost approximately £3,544 per annum. To pay back the loan. That's over 30 years. So that's just another option, and that way we could maximise all the funds.
Sandra?
That's making an assumption that the MUGA goes on St David's and the football goes on the Ashway.
It is, absolutely.
Ian, have you got your hand up?
No, I'll leave it.
You threw me off there.
Sorry, Chairman, just a quick question.
Yeah.
A question from the floor. Would you allow a member of the public to speak?
Yes, I presume that's Neil, is it?
Yes. As a resident of the Ashway, so I was obviously interested in that proposal.
Good evening, Neil.
Ladies and Stephen, thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I do appreciate it. I acknowledge you have a tough decision as a council to do, my overriding concern is that the Ashway playing fields are public open space. So is St David's. David's a lot bigger and could manage some of these facilities, but the Ashway isn't big enough. If you are to put a 3D pitch on the Ashway, you are going to reduce the open space within the area that you just can't do. I just think you are ignoring the use of that field by many, many other people. Please consider that the football club are not the only people who use the Ashway. The Ashway is used by residents on a daily basis. There are many, many people using it with their children. If you put a pitch on there, you're reducing that by nearly 50%. And that is a serious, for me, is a serious thing you should consider. You also need to gain resident approval because you cannot alter the use of an open space without consultation to the community. Please consider that. Thank you for letting me speak.
We do acknowledge that there will be some sort of consultation going on wherever we go, whether it be Ashway, St David's or both. We will have to involve the public in the consultation. Lynn?
It is only actually a small part of the Ashway. It's not a large part of it, and it goes into the wooded area. So it's literally just up to the hump. As you walk in from the Ashway, it isn't a huge part of the Ashway at all. It's probably less than a third.
Well, that's 30% of open space for the residents of the area and the village that is going to be taken away for single use without even contemplating the disruption to the residents of having floodlights on till 9 o'clock every night of the week, every night of the year, almost. But that isn't even been considered yet.
Ian, Neil, obviously anything like floodlights, that would be a serious consideration for the planning authority. I think there's some sort of rules about how near floodlights can go to residential properties, but what those rules are, I'm not totally certain.
No, I acknowledge that. I appreciate that. I just wanted to put the points on record. So thank you for letting me.
Okay. James, you've got your hand up.
Oh, no, yes. Just a quick question, just to clarify. Do we own both sites, St David's and the Ashway?
No.
We own St David's and we own part of the Ashway.
Right. So what off the Ashway? Do we know?
The Ashway, is that part Parish Council and part Daventry?
The top half is the long lease from Daventry District Council, and the changing room side belongs to the Parish Council.
Right, so it's a long lease we have with it.
Yeah. One was David Wilson Homes, I believe. The changing room end might be David Wilson Homes. Transfer.
Right, thank you.
But when you say belong, you mean you manage on behalf of the residents of the village. You don't, the Parish Council doesn't own it as a going concern.
Yeah, I understand the comment there. I agree. We overlook, we manage it for you.
Yeah.
That was, sorry, can that be repeated, Stephen? There was I've got really, really bad reception. I didn't quite hear what that part of the conversation was.
That was about who owned what.
Yeah.
Basically, to repeat, we own St David's. We have a long lease. We have a lease for half of the Ashway and the other half.
Yeah, it was something about management. Didn't quite pick that.
Yeah, we manage part of the Ashway on behalf of the residents of it as part of the lease.
Okay.
Stuart,
Yeah. Okay, question. I mean, my huge difficulty
focusing these on the football club proposal and the leader, the key question for me is what is the local need? Now I know that certainly in terms of the football pitch, there has been quite limited consultation with the public, but we do know there is an established need for many people to play football. Stuart, we can't make out what you're saying at all.
You can't hear me at all?
No, most unlike you, really.
Right, shall I speak slower?
That's better.
That's better. Whatever you've done. That's it.
I'll try again. So I was saying that there has been limited consultation, it seems, for the football proposal. However, there is seemingly an established need for football in the area. In respect of the nougat, it's a little bit of an unknown. It looks as if the consultation has largely been localised with small sports groups or with social media and bulletins. Now, in either case, the difficulty for me making any decision on this is that we haven't really fully consulted local residents on what they need and what they want at this point. So we're being asked as a council to commit quite a large amount of spending one way or the other, effectively, but in the absence of any real consultation with the community. How do we address that?
Sandra, can you answer that?
Yeah. So when the Sports Council was put together, and it was James Collier, an ex-councillor, and myself, we had a meeting in the village hall, and we had 30 people turn up to that, representing their various sports. So anything from the dance academy right through to netball, football, etc., etc. In fact, we've got someone who's listening to this meeting, Wendy Bradford. She herself attended that meeting. So, we even had the fishing club come to it. So, and the sailing club, they came to it. So, I think, with all due respect, Stuart, the sports council did put together meetings for clubs and individuals to come and express their opinion on what they would like to see come out of this Section 106 money, and this is the result of it. Which hence why we're looking at things like netball and hockey. And improving the dance facilities. This is nothing to do with the MUGA, but improving the dance facilities within the library. It was pre your time, to be honest, I think, Stuart.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, what you referred to there are, as you said, small sports groups. We're talking about a MUGA with presumably different usage. And if we're talking about only small groups attending meetings, are we confident that's a representative view of the village? I guess that's the question I'm asking.
Are we confident of what?
That we have a representative view of the village, particularly if I appreciate you've given opportunities for people to meet. Some people won't necessarily be able to attend a meeting. What other routes have we taken to consult with the rest of the village?
I just can't hear you.
Sorry, Sandra, he's just asking what other groups we consulted. But in fairness, I think there was about 40 sports clubs within Brixworth, and three quarters turned up at that meeting. And the messages we had, there was a strong message that money should be spent for the benefit of the whole community. Equally strong that the importance of clubs and venues should not look inwards, and we need to demonstrate a partnership approach to providing sport within the area. And the concern was by the smaller clubs, bearing in mind the majority there were small clubs. They didn't think they should be outvoted by the larger clubs, and there was a need to pull and work together. So that was an overview of the meeting, and that was 30 out of the 40 sports clubs there.
Okay.
But
That's fine. Yeah.
But whether that's representative of the 4,000 or 5,000 people of Brixworth, but out of the sportingly active, they were probably well represented that night.
Okay. I mean, I think part of the difficulty as well is that we're trying to attract more into sport, not those necessarily already interested in sport.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. I think the stand talk is very good today. Is it? Sandra?
I think this is why when we did that consultation, Stuart, with these groups, I think it was from that the idea of a MUGA was inspired, and also improving the facilities or the buildings that we already have. And we had a consultant. I met up with her, which is what I mentioned in the last meeting, and we went to all of the buildings available in the village to see what we could do for those halls, those community halls, to improve or enhance or provide sport within the village. And the only building that was viable was the library. Hence why we've got the library thing as well. So we hopefully what we've identified as a sports council is indoor and outdoor, and not just current sports, but also encouraging new sports. So, for example, we haven't got table tennis within the village. I understand that we've actually got a very good basketball coach. I don't know, he trains England or whatever, but a very, very high level basketball representative in the village. And so, should we not be trying to encourage new sports to come into the village? Why does it always have to be the same sport?
No, absolutely. That's what I'm asking about. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that.
Sandra, can I? I've had my hand up. Can I just ask how many consultants we've had? How many play companies we've had? We've just relied on one company
for the MUGA.
No, just to give an opinion on what can be done to, say, the village hall, the community centre, the other community centre that's used by Brixworth Preschool. Has it just been one company that's come in?
Yeah. So basically,
I think we could do with a broader.
I absolutely agree. The reason why I came across this company who based locally, which was fantastic. Her CV and company details are equally amazing. She can tap into Sport England. She's very, very current. Just absolutely knows what's going on government wise. Knows what's going on in sort of private equity and all of funded stuff. And importantly, she didn't charge for her time.
None of them do.
Because we could be throwing tens of thousands of pounds out of Section 106 money to consultants. For us now, this isn't about what colour doorknobs we're looking at. This is the principle of what we want to put forward to Daventry. And there has been evidence that people are looking for new sports to come into the village. There's evidence that the smaller sports clubs feel that they want to be supported. We've obviously also got the larger clubs which have got their act together, and and well done. They got their act together, and they're putting in their own individual bids. But it's not a bottomless pit of money.
I'm not talking about the money. I'm talking about getting someone else in for an alternative opinion, because from my point of view, there's a lot of people that play badminton in the village and have to go out of the village.
And we looked at badminton. That was when I asked her. So I had a mini list of obvious sports, and one of those obvious sports was badminton, and she said, there's not a single building in your village that's got the height for badminton. So it's a no-go. It's an absolute no-go. The room, whatever you call it, up by the church, it's too low. it's also too narrow for anything. So she said there's just nothing that can go in here apart from what they're already doing, and that's the indoor bowls. With the village hall, again, you've got the stage right at the end. So that just takes away the space. It's divided into 2 rooms. You've got the back room, which makes it narrower. Again, there's just nothing there. She said the only room that you've got that could do something for you is the top room of the library. And she said, and that would be table tennis. I mean, something's been thrown around now about possibly a climbing wall. So, you know, that would be great. You know, making it into, you know, replacing the floor. So you've got, you know, so it's for a dance studio, etc., etc., etc. But honestly, I was as disappointed as the next person to think that our 3 major indoor buildings cannot facilitate any sport beyond table tennis and indoor bowls. It's so disappointing. It's so disappointing that we can't do that.
But that's my point. You've only been to one company.
Yeah, that's fine. We can go out to another. I haven't got a problem with that. But for the purpose of this exercise, this is what it is. And I can't believe that, you know, she was very, very specific on the dimensions needed for badminton, and she said it's just not going to happen in here. No badminton. If you wanted a recreational badminton thing, fine, have a recreational badminton thing and whatever. We are looking at the library and pushing those lights up and out so they don't interfere. And it could be possible that we have something that is a hobby at badminton. Do you know what I mean? Rather than actually, it's like if I play tennis, okay, I go to a tennis club that facilitates my wanting to play tennis properly. But if I wanted to just play maybe, you know, pitter-pat tennis, I might be happy with 3/4 of the size of a court. But if we have a demand, if people say, actually, I do want to play badminton and I don't really care that I can't play it properly, then why not look at it? Okay. But that's why people, I think, they go over to Guilsborough and to Kettering, don't they? Because they play their badminton. I mean, I know someone, I've got a friend who takes her badminton extremely seriously, and there's nowhere. She has to go to Kettering where they have a professional court.
Okay, Ian?
Yeah, I think if people are interested in this, the Daventry have done a report. It was published in September 2017 on indoor sports in the district. They are suggesting which sports need supporting and which don't, and also which facilities may be available, which is worth probably us looking at maybe at a later stage. But we'll return to one point I wanted to make about these outdoor facilities. I think we've definitely got to get this problem, it is a problem, sorted at the earliest extreme we can. Both these possibilities are going to be very antisocial. And I think we're going to have to work with residents from the earliest opportunity rather than leave it and have a car crash later on. The floodlights are going to be within a matter of a few metres of someone's back garden. I'm not saying a problem can't be overcome, but it needs to be looked at very, very early. If you remember the skateboard debacle, we put a skateboard ramp in, and in the end, the whole council ended up with a noise abatement order against them and a threat of legal action. The whole thing had to be removed. That's how not to do it. Now, not many people on the council know who were around then. I wasn't even, but I do remember the circumstances. And I think we've got to say to ourselves, it's the whole community we're serving. We should serve as many people as we can with the sporting aspect of it, but protect as many people as we can from the negative side of it. And that means early consultation and consideration where we put these facilities.
I agree with you, Ian.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. Can we move on to the applications then? We've all had the chance to read through the documents that Peter sent out and the forms. The first one is consider supporting the application from Brixworth Cricket Club, which is for the new roller shutter onto the security shed and a new roller. Sandra, sorry.
No, I wasn't putting my hands up.
Okay, sorry.
I was just
got scratched.
Concentrating.
James, have you got your hand up, or are you still from last time?
Still from last time, I think.
Sorry,
No,
Steve.
still up.
Yeah, sorry if I'm being difficult. What are we doing? Are we taking these proposals one at a time? Have we got one vote each on each proposal? Can we?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I mean, basically, the cricket club, the football club, and St David's are all outdoor. The bowls club and the community centre are both indoor.
There is sufficient funds for both of the indoor projects.
That's right.
To run concurrently. The conflict is obviously they
Outside.
can only be spent once on outdoor sports, and the choice is either a Mooga or the 3G football pitch. But there were alternatives highlighted by Council Compton if the council wanted to go down that route as well. The other thing, obviously, if you did go with the Juniors Football Club, you are indirectly agreeing to look at the feasibility of a long-term lease as well. It's not just granting the funding, you're committing to a long-term lease to enable that project to be delivered.
In much the same way as we lease to the cricket club.
Yeah, long-term lease, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, there's a short-term, but yes, yeah.
Sandra.
So just to clarify then, Peter, you're saying that we've got enough money to support the bowls and the refurbishment of the library. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
That's what we believe, yes.
That's what we're saying, yes.
Okay. Well, if we have got enough money for both of those, then it just seems to me to be a bit of an obvious. Why there's no need to argue about it. The money is there. It's been allocated to indoor. These are the two things that have come to our attention. So would we not want to support these in principle then, and let Daventry go through the nitty gritty and sort of cross the I's and the T's and whatever. Do you know what I mean?
If we want to do paper C and D first for the indoor one, I would propose that we support both of those.
Mm.
Do you need a second?
Yes, I do need a second.
I'll
Thank you,
second
Jackie.
it.
All those in favour of supporting so that's Lena, Elaine, James, Lynn, Ian, you're in favour. Kevin, are you in favour?
Agreed.
Okay. Sandra, you in favour? Yes?
Yeah.
So I think that was everybody in favour of that.
So we support those two projects in principle, proposed by
Yes.
Councillor James, seconded by Councillor
Councillor
Bird.
Bird. Yeah.
And that's unanimous. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay then.
So before sorry, through the chair, could we just absolutely clarify how much money, including money from SIL, etc., how much money we have got for outdoor, please?
116.
I think we've got 15,000 from earmarked reserves.
Hang on, can I just write this down, please,
Yeah.
Lisa? So you've got 15k from earmarked reserves, yeah?
Yeah. And then we've got 23,500 from the SIL.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it's made up of, this is the move, 106,000 for outdoor sports and 65,250 from parks and gardens.
Hang on, 65.
250 from parks and gardens.
Yeah, and 60, was it 68?
65,
No, sorry.
50, but, and then 106,000 from outdoor sports.
106.
Well, that's assuming we do 10,000 for the cricket.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
100,
I don't agree with that. I wouldn't vote for the cricket.
we haven't. No, my
no, we
question.
haven't, no.
My question is how much
So
money
you
we've
think
got.
Oh, we
that
haven't done the cricket yet,
10,000
Jackie.
No, we've allowed for the cricket taking the money out of the pot.
But why?
Well, no,
It needs to go back in the pot.
well, it can go back in the pot. That's entirely up to the council tonight. That's what we're
Yeah,
here
we
for
haven't-
tonight.
But if we're looking at the whole pot,
Absolutely.
10,000.
Yes.
Yeah, so the whole pot is 15,000, 23,500, 65.25 thousand, and 106,000.
No.
Well, it'll be
160.
116 with the cricket club pot. Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing's been taken out of those pots yet. No one has. No one has
everything's
accepted
out.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, has someone got a calculator?
Was that the reserves for the play equipment as well?
Yeah. There's the 9k for the play equipment, and there's potentially 40k from general reserves. That's what I need to. That's what I would like rather to know.
Well, without touching general reserves, it's about 230,000.
I'll get my calculator.
Yeah. Yeah. Just written that down.
Well, then they obviously think, well, Bob's got a calculator.
Oh God, this needs right.
Yeah, about 220,000.
Yeah, it's 219k 220.
Yeah.
It's only four figures.
Did you get a calculator out?
No, I did arithmetic.
It's 217,000, and that's excluding playground equipment. And if we dipped into general reserves, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the general reserves out for the time being.
Okay. So then, what we've got is we've got football who want 110. We've got cricket who want 9, and then we've got the Muga, for argument's sake, 200. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Muga one includes the playground as well.
Yeah. So that's
So the football doesn't include any playground.
no. So, but I'm just saying that the bids that are on the requests that are on the table total £319,000. Yeah.
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 And so there's a shortfall of £100,000 basically.
Yeah.
Okay. So where do we go from here then?
Well, I think that's why my
Sorry.
No, I was just saying that's why my question was why can't we? Why are we not allowed, or at least some of us could say that we support all of these things, but we would then have to find some more money, or is that just not allowed to say that?
You
could say that.
I absolutely agree with Elaine, and we could do it all. Basically, you could support both schemes with Daventry, and then it would go through their feasibility, and they could sort it out. But by the same token, we could take out a PWLB loan and get 50% funding from Sport England and do an all singing, all dancing mugger, and the football team, the Brixworth Juniors football, could do their football facility. Then the village would be really well served with facilities.
Ian?
Yeah, I could support both of these to some extent, but I think with the amount of money, I wouldn't want to go and hock with a loan for 30 years to pay for it. I think we owe it to be a bit more prudent than that. We don't know what the future's going to bring. The last thing I'd want was that amount of debt around our neck. I think
Ian, it's £3,000 a year. It's 2.45% interest. And as a parish council, we are the only we are the only ones that can go forward for this sort of loan at such a low interest rate. It's a well accepted fact. Parish and town councils do this all the time. It's not an issue. You can actually pay for it out of your reserves.
And I don't think I would want to be in debt for 30 years. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Legally, we can. I think the big issue for me, the overriding issue, is a site. Now, I could possibly agree to one of these, or both even, if I was convinced the site was anything like reasonable and workable. What I don't want to do is to agree to something, then we're fiddling around wondering where to put it. This is what happened with the skateboard ramp. It was agreed, then people wondering where to put it. Now, if you were to put something in someone's back garden, I wouldn't want it. Miles from anywhere, I would support it. Well, it's going to be somewhere in between, isn't it? I think we need to sort out a proposal, not only for what facility or facilities we're going to have, but where do we recommend they go?
Yeah, I'll just come back to you, Ian. On the Muga proposal, the idea was to take out the tennis court and put a Muga there, then move the playground further down, the play area further down, so everything would fit in, wouldn't interfere with the cricket boundary, so everything would keep in that place. That was the proposal on that.
Right.
On the football one, I'm not totally sure exactly how that one fits.
Yeah. Well, Chairman, if I come in there, their own recommendation from their own consultant says not St David's.
Yeah, I mean, to have a 7-a-side one, I don't think fits into St David's without altering the cricket boundary, which I think is something we don't want to do. Sandra?
I'm going back to what Neil Brown said, and if we do want both of these, the Muga has to go on St David's, and the football looks as though it would have to go on to the Ashway, and that's got so many hoops to jump through in terms of parish council manage it on behalf of the residents of the Ashway. And within the proposal, there was talk of extending the car park, and I'm sure that green areas are protected within villages. So it's an absolute, it's a real can of worms, and I don't, I personally don't think that the proposal is ready to be submitted to Daventry without Daventry then spending a huge amount of time pulling it apart. If that's something that the football club wants to go through, fine. But I think they need to realise that proposal on the table as it is now isn't great. It's not a great proposal. It's not going to garner favour. And I can see that Councillor Barrett is nodding. I just don't think it's going to garner favour with Daventry, and therefore, if it's not going to garner favour with Daventry, why would Brixworth Parish Council say we're going to support it? I'm happy to support a rock solid proposal, whether it's synchronised swimming or football, as long as it's a rock solid proposal. And I think that there are so many holes in this, it's going to be absolutely ripped apart by Daventry. I mean, there are probably issues that we need to deal with regards to the Muga. I absolutely understand that, but I think there are less issues with the Muga than there are with football. I agree with you, Lynn. Do you know what? It'd be great. Let's make everyone happy. But the football proposal is too weak at the moment, and tonight it's about us forwarding these 5 bids as a principle to Daventry and deciding which ones we are going to support.
So with the Muga, Sandra, have you checked how many metres it is from the houses?
Yeah.
So it's more than 50 metres, is it? Which is the recommended.
Peter?
Well, that's what we're employing somebody to draft up a proper scheme. But don't forget we intend putting landscaping in as well. So if in theory all we're doing is replacing one outdoor sports area with another outdoor sports area, because the tennis court is already there.
Absolutely, I appreciate that, but most of the research that I've done over the weekend has said you've got to do more work. It indicates that you need to do more. We need to do more work on the Mugger proposal before that goes forward. All the research I've looked at said that if Muggers aren't floodlit, they get very little use, because you can only use them in the good weather and you can't use them in the evening. That's just one piece of research. And who is going to? I am still concerned about the whole tennis court debacle, because that's just been left to go to rack and ruin over the years. What's our plan moving forward with maintaining a Muga?
Right, Lynn. There was no thoughts about putting floodlights onto the Muga at the present.
No, I know, absolutely.
Because the idea was to do groundwork for them in the future if needed.
Mm-hmm.
The tennis court went to rack and ruin because we were having Section 106 money, and a Muga was on the card, possible one of the things to look at. So it'd be pointless spending tens of thousands of pounds repairing a tennis court that was then going to be ripped up to do something else. And it needs a lot of money spending on it. And it's better spent on a new facility where if we had a G2 area, we could play tennis, netball, basketball, football training, basketball, hockey, I think was the other one.
Yeah.
So it gains everybody, it ticks all the boxes as far as we're concerned for, well, not just the youth.
What's the backup plan if it doesn't get through Daventry's criteria?
You could say that about the football. What's the backup plan?
I'm just asking the question exactly, which is why perhaps you'd need to put both of them forward and let it go through the Daventry criteria, because the football club actually can't do anything at all unless you give them some support. Whereas the parish council have got other options. They don't need to use all that money. You could use some of the money and get a Sport England inspired facilities grant to put towards it, and then you still could have both facilities.
Could I come in, please? Could I have my hand up sometime?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
There's a couple of comments I'd like to make. Firstly, I don't think necessarily an investment of a few £1,000s a year is something we should instantly reject. I think a long-term investment is probably what's needed. I do agree that if we could leave both options open, and we should agree further than going through. Now, I appreciate there may well be difficulties, perhaps with the football, perhaps with the Muga, but that's really something to tackle the district council to decide, and go through the proper consultation with residents who would have seen it, and what your view is on this.
You've done it against you.
I don't know what's going on. I'm so sorry. Can you hear anything?
We can when you're not saying anything relevant.
No, I'm going to go downstairs to Elaine's computer.
Turn that one off.
Shall we just wait for Stuart's comments to be heard, Sandra, before you
Yeah.
Right. Sorry about this. So I was trying to suggest that firstly the investment of a few £1,000s a year on a long-term basis wouldn't necessarily put us off. It shouldn't necessarily put us off. I think we've got to invest to develop our facilities. So that for me wouldn't be a no deal. But I do think if at all possible we ought to be able to keep both options open. And if there is another route for funding that we can access, that needs to be explored.
I think if it comes down to, there may well be issues with both sets of proposals further down the line. There hasn't yet been full consultation with residents. We've got to accept that. And there hasn't yet been proper feasibility done for both projects. So I think what we've got to be able to do, from my perspective, is if we can put forward both of those proposals for the district council then to ratify all that, to go through the proper processes, consultation mechanism, just to make sure which is, if it's going to do one or the other, which is most feasible, or is it feasible to run both of them? That's a little bit beyond, I would suggest, our remit and perhaps our expertise at that point. So my view would be, as it stands, because we are awaiting some details, if we are able to put forward both and let the district council decide further down the line after all the process have been completed, then we are opening up ourselves to a better proposal for the village overall. It may be that ultimately one is rejected, but I think if we close off one option at this point, we're not necessarily doing the community the full service it requires. Could you hear all that?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Great computers, exactly the same computers I've got upstairs. I should go and use the Duff one upstairs again.
Well, with respect to Councillor Coe, I'm astounded that he thinks Daventry can make a decision better than we can. We are an elected parish council, or some of us are elected, some are co-opted. We're here to make decisions on behalf of the village. If we don't know what the village wants, it's up to us to go out and jolly well find out what they want and do our best for them. Not to give it to someone who's never been to Brixworth maybe for the last 2 months or 3 months or 6 months in Daventry. It's our job to do it, our responsibility to grasp that nettle and give this village what we think's best for them in our hearts and through listening to the residents and doing that job ourselves. I'm not afraid to shy away from it. I hope the rest of the council aren't either. It's our job, we should do it.
That's fine, but we don't have that feedback yet from the entire village.
Then we go and get it.
Which is what I'm saying. Here we are trying to make a decision in the absence of that feedback. So do we close off one option over the other? I don't think we should.
Absolutely.
I think, Chair.
Sorry, yes, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, the conversations, but I mean, in the Brixworth Bulletin, which I've just dug out, issue 53, June 2017, 242,000 boosts for Brixworth Sports. Anyone who wants to come back can speak to the parish council. So that's been out there for 3 years. I don't know if you can see that, but it's like, how long do you want? I mean, how long does this have to go on for? It's been there for 3 years and that's it. So I don't mind actually looking at both of these separately, letting the others go through, to be quite honest with you, and then saying, right, we look at these and we do it separately and we get everything together, but we do it within a couple of months. We don't want to be carrying on talking about this for another 6 months.
No, well, we've got 2 years left to...
Well, sorry, Chair. If we've got 2 years, then 6 months, because I know what 6 months will end up being. They'll end up being a year if we're not careful.
That's right, so, we have to go through planning.
Yes, exactly. And things like lights and things like that, planners know the rules on lights and things like this and how far they're away. We did one recently with an athletics track in Daventry. The same thing came up and the question was answered. They know exactly how far you've got to be away from boundaries and things like that. They can do that. But I think we just take, my view is let the other one go through, for goodness sake, £10,000, and then take these two and say, right, where are they going to go and the implications, and then just get on with it. And we get people in to give us another quote, make sure we're okay. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, well, bearing that in mind, I would like to propose that we support the cricket club. Let's do something positive on that one. Do we have a seconder for supporting the cricket clubs? Thank you, Kevin. All those in favour of supporting the cricket club? That's that everybody?
No.
No?
I'm abstaining.
You're abstaining. Oh, because of your. Okay. So, one absence.
No, I'm going to abstain as well, Chair.
And Sandra. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we need to do a roll call, Peter, just to make sure we've got
I can do a roll call. So it's proposed that.
Sorry, can I just, because we could give the cricket club a grant, couldn't we? So we could use all the money for the Section 106 and for the Section 106 money for these other two. Sorry, I'm.
No.
Which is what I meant earlier. Which is what I meant earlier.
That's the proposal.
Yeah, well, we've had the vote.
What was
Yeah, it's too late now, Lynn.
It's too late. Never mind.
Had the vote.
I was forgetting about the grant funding.
Yeah. Would have gone through anyway, even if you abstained from it, Lynn. So,
never mind.
Do you want me to go through the roll call?
Yeah, just in case, make sure we've got
if you just say for or against or abstain. Councillor Barrett?
For.
Councillor Bird?
Abstain.
Abstain. Councillor Elaine Cole?
For.
Councillor Stuart Cole?
For.
Councillor James Collier?
For.
Councillor Lynn Compton?
For.
Councillor Lena Howarth?
fall asleep.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Stephen James proposed it. Councillor Tom Mitch, apologies for absence. Councillor Moxon?
Abstain.
Councillor Parker?
For.
And Councillor Peacock's not here. Yeah. So yes, that's carried.
Okay.
I don't know if you can hear me, Chair, but thank you very much for that.
Yes, can hear you, Mike.
Thank you, thank you, councillors.
Okay. Okay then, now back to items E and F. Sandra.
Okay, so there seems to be two issues here. One is a more in-depth feasibility study, though I do say that actually we have for the last 3 years have continued to send messages out to residents. We've had meetings with clubs, etc., etc. So you know, I would like to ask. In what format would there be a feasibility study? Because putting it out on social media is clearly not satisfying some of you. So what would you do? Councillor Barrett, you're very keen on having a feasibility study, so what would you do?
The feasibility study to me is not necessarily going onto Facebook. I agree with you, that's not the way of doing it. It's not necessarily having a village referendum. A feasibility study, I meant not what people think about it, but to put bones on the plan itself. Because what I've got so far, I'm not convinced that this project would even run. It might do. There's so much is missing, so many assumptions have been made. That's a feasibility I'd like to see. But they've had the chance tonight, so maybe that's it.
But I still, with all due respect, I still don't understand the, you said there are no bones on this. I still don't understand. I'm not going to say, yippee, let's do a feasibility study, and then we don't actually have any idea of the format of that feasibility study. As far as I can see, we have asked residents, we have asked sports reps. I'm still talking. We've gone to other parish councils who have got the Moogers, and we've had very positive responses from them. And so I'm just kind of going, unless you need to tell me or to tell us, what do you mean by a feasibility study that you would be happy with? Because I would
be happy with a properly researched methodology here showing what the income would be. I mean, we're told, for example, just to take one thing, the school might use it for so many hours. They might pay this amount. It might be that amount.
Oh, you're talking. Sorry.
That's the football I'm talking about.
Football. Okay.
That's the football. That's why I think it's lacking in detail. And if the detail does come later, I could then consider it. If it doesn't come later, I simply make my mind up on what I've got so far.
Okay. Do you think that? So I didn't realise that you were talking about the football. So my apologies there. So with regards to what more we can do to evidence the need for the Muga, as I said, and I did think that you were talking about the Muga. What else can we do beyond having regular social media, a dialogue with residents, going to other parish councils and getting their comments about how their residents have embraced Mugas? What else can we do to substantiate that a Muga is a way forward that that deals with tiny tots right through to teenagers and adults, and indeed, potentially we could also have the gym equipment for for certain age groups, etc., etc., etc.
So I don't see anything at all in that direction, because I've got in front of me the Northoff report from Daventry District Council. It goes through sport for sport, what's needed in the villages, and what we could provide. I'm happy with that information. It's purely the football side where I wanted some feasibility.
Right. Okay. Thank you for just clarifying that. Thank you.
Yes.
Could Councillor Barrett, could you possibly email me that report? I'd be very interested in seeing what they include.
Yes, it's especially strong in indoor sports as well, and and it also mentions Brixworth Tennis Club features quite strongly in it, and also the quality of their courts.
It's the quality of their secretary that they're actually talking about.
Well, the courts are 60%, most about 90%, so we won't go down that road.
We're repainting next year.
That's also planning about.
Lena.
I'm going to put
I
it to you.
just wanted to ask a question about the Muga. I think one of the things about that is, well, in the paper F, I couldn't tell there what that you've got the pricing in there, but it doesn't actually say what you're getting for that. So the illustrative purposes, I didn't feel I'd got enough of a view on there of what we were actually going to be getting for the money. Was the first thing, and also the second thing, I wasn't seeing how it was going to be managed moving forward. So who was going to manage it moving forward?
You want to answer that, Sandra?
Yeah, Peter, I was going to say there was a huge document that should have been attached, and it was just basically a shopping list, wasn't it, Peter? Do you want to just reply to that?
No, I mean, we've had a detailed draft proposal from a company that lists every single nut, bolt and item that they could put on the site. But what we didn't do tonight, we wanted to talk about the high level. Do you want a 7-a-side 3G pitch, or do you want a Muga? And then the idea was the detail and the full feasibility and the checking on the legalities and the permissions and the residents come later. But in terms of it being managed, so we've got a full menu of what we can put on the site and costs. And in terms of being managed, we haven't looked at managed proposals yet. But I mean, that's something we need to consider. Does it need opening up and locking up, or do we leave it for children to play in their own time? Is it going to be for club use, or are we just going to have community use hours? I mean, that's something for discussion later. The important thing at this time is, do we want that facility for everybody to use? I mean, the beauty of it won't be 100% club use, but equally it might be 50-50 with the community.
Peter, is it possible? I mean, it's too late for this meeting, but if if you want, Lena, we could send this document out to you, and it's about 60 pages.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I wasn't proposal to read through the whole proposal. I just meant that it was difficult, I felt, to make a decision on this because I didn't feel there was enough information in there.
Yeah.
And I think when we're talking about feasibility, that I didn't feel that necessarily we have enough information from both the football club or from the Muga to be able to make any decisions on that either.
Okay, you should have received, for example, one of the front pages. It talks about the age range of that particular proposal is from the age of 1 to the age of 15, and there are 75 different activities. So that's kind of been summarised in a picture. So I apologise if that hasn't been forwarded to councillors, and it just sort of shows, you know, the sports that are being played on.
There is a picture, but you can't read it.
Could you not?
Information for illustrative purposes, but you can't read any of it. So I'm just saying that we're making decisions on information that we haven't got. We haven't got all the information. I'm agreeing that we're not necessarily in a position to be able to make any decisions because we haven't got all of the information.
Right. Well, Peter, I don't. What did you actually send out to councillors?
There's a picture of the Muga, which shows you tennis, football goals, basketball goals. I thought there was some cricket wickets as well. And then there's netball layout, there's basketball layout. And I think that was it. And then
I think it was outside table tennis as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's outside table tennis. I don't know if I can see that on that one. Yes, there's the outside table tennis on the right hand side bottom. And then there was the play equipment. Some of this is reused and some of it's brand new. It's some disabled play equipment. Obviously most of it's for able-bodied children, but it's full range in terms of age groups, fully inclusive, and that was the plan, and that shows you the pathway through and the additional landscaping. But we appreciate with this residential zone there at the bottom that we may put additional landscaping in to remove any noise or anything, and also from an environmental point of view, plant more trees. So give a bit more of a parky feel rather than a playground feel.
Thank you.
I mean, that is all on the documents, paper F.
Yeah, that's the bit I don't understand. So,
because of Daventry's form, you don't. Most of it is sort of text, and there's not that much scope to put a lot of information in.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's intended just for scoring, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose all I was saying there was that it's difficult to make it. I mean, I understand that this is all the Daventry stuff, but I've only just come in at the end, so I haven't seen any of the stuff that's been going on before. So it's difficult to be making decisions when you haven't had all of the information.
But can you see what those pages which was included, which were included in paper F? You can see them now, though, can't you?
Yeah, I saw them, but I was just saying that they were just some. I didn't feel there was enough information there to say whether I thought that was the one that I wanted to. If I had to choose one of the different options, whether that was the one based on those three pictures.
Okay. Has anybody else got any comments to make? Lynn, I think you've got your hand, and Elaine's got her hand.
Sorry. I just wondered what size that is.
Oh, that was 5-a-side, I think.
No, what size is the Muga?
Yeah.
It was 4 or 5-a-side pitch.
No, what size is the Muga? What's the overall size of the Muga?
I can't remember without going back into all the documents.
Well, it was the
I
size
didn't see that in any of the documents.
It was the size of 2 tennis courts, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got basically 2 tennis courts, and he has written it down. It's something like, hang on a minute, let's say 50 metres or something like that. Hang on a tick. It's about 50 metres in length, and then obviously it goes into a bit of a wedge, so it's quite difficult to tell the width, but it's about 50 metres in length.
I think my main concern.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I think my main concern is that the football club haven't got any other options other than accessing the Football Foundation through the Section 106 funding, and that requires the support of the parish council, whereas the parish council have got other options. And actually, we could, I've already demonstrated, provide both facilities. And both facilities could go forward for feasibility, which hasn't been demonstrated by either of them, because the Football Foundation do the feasibility study for the 3G pitch, which has already been pointed out by the football club, we are in the Daventry football facilities plan, which has literally, been published in the last month. So that's my concern. The Brixworth Juniors Football Club wouldn't be able to go forward for Sport England funding. Well, they would, but it wouldn't come to enough money to do a 3G pitch. So their options are very limited, whereas ours are much wider. I'm not going to say any more now.
It's 75,000, isn't it, from Sport England?
It's because they're an organisation, they can only go forward for 75,000, which wouldn't give them enough money from the Football Foundation's point of view to get a 3G facility, which is the only way they'd be able to do all their training and everything and play matches, because they couldn't play it on the Mugger surface. That's all really. That's my concern.
Stephen?
Yeah.
Rob Kelly asked if he could say something. How do you know that?
Well, you had your hand up as well, Elaine, so...
Yeah, I had my hand up to say Rob Kelly asked if he could say something.
Rob, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I just wanted to let you guys know that although in the Daventry form there's not much space to fill in kind of costings and everything, on the main form we submitted on the date we're supposed to, the 28th of February, when it's supposed to be the deadline for these submissions, we did actually include kind of estimated income and estimated expenditure figures, because obviously if you've got a 3G pitch, you need to have some kind of sinking fund in place in order to replace the surface. So we kind of worked on an average of income of about £9,000 a year, because that's what we currently pay to go to Kingsthorpe and Moulton College and Moulton School for winter training. So if we're going to have kind of £9,000 expenditure, we're allowing £5,000 of that to go into the sinking fund. So over the course of 10 years, you've got £50,000 worth to replace the surface, which is generally around about enough money to replace a 7v7 surface. Now, my main concern is if you're going to go for a Mooger at St David's, is the cost of replacing the surface after 7 to 10 years, especially if it's not being manned or watched, because it can quite easily, if it's left open all the time, can quite easily be damaged. Now, I'm sure the guys that build this stuff for a living have factored in vandalism and all that kind of stuff into the equipment they manufacture, but it's just something worth thinking about from my point of view, that we've kind of worked out our costings based on the 7v7, but it seems to me like these figures were never forwarded to the parish council, so I'm kind of a bit confused by that really. Okay, that's me done now, thank you.
Was there not enough space on the form there, Rob?
We didn't initially fill in the form because the form states it's only for a maximum grant of £15,000.
No, the forms are used for all capital grants. Yeah.
Oh, right, because it says maximum 15k on it. Yeah. Section 8B, so...
But there is boxes there, yeah.
Alright, so we did fill it in the end because we knew we had to, but it seemed kind of way below what we were asking for at 15k, so it's kind of like, why are we filling this in for £15,000 when we need a lot more? Alright.
The other thing we need to come out, which a member of the public's been raising tonight, is the in the legal agreement with David Wilson Homes, it's classified as a public open space area that needs to be seeded and drained. We need to check the legalities of that to see whether...
I have no problem with going out to consultation.
Not consultation, I mean a legal view, whether we can do it or not.
Sure, it's likely to be considered at some point. rather than just being what seems to happen. It seems to be kind of railroaded off.
Yeah.
So I'm done now anyway. So I'll go back onto mute. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sandra, you had your.
Well, Peter's just mentioned it actually. The public open space thing is a massive barrier to this, and I just kind of think that we're going around in circles, to be quite honest with you. You know, if we want both to go forward, then what we're considering is that the Mooga goes on to St David's, the football goes on to onto the Ashway. With regards to the maintenance of the Mooga, yeah, it does need maintaining. A CRIC have an annual maintenance programme on it, and they say basically it's just lines that need doing every year. I mean, from a tennis court point of view, they probably need replacing every 15 years, and so I think as a parish council, then we have a responsibility to have a sinking fund for future high cost maintenance of the Mooga. With regards to, should it be locked, should it be open, etc., etc. I mean, this actually taps into something else. Like CRIC have a keypad entry system into theirs. They have a booking system. That's something that obviously the Brixworth Parish Council could consider, especially if we are looking at another part-time clerk. That can be the role of the part-time clerk, but that's something else to be discussed in the future. I just think that these two bids are so far apart in how they are being presented. I really do think that they are, because I think that even if we did support the football bid, as I say, there are massive barriers, and that biggest barrier is the public open space, and we can't ignore that. And as Councillor Barrett has said, we have got to consult with those residents on the Ashway. There's already problems with parking, let alone encouraging more children to come to that area. But that's for us to consult with the Ashway.
I thought it was already in the plans to extend the parking on the Ashway anyway.
No, it was to repair, not to extend, to repair it.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think we're allowed to extend the car park, because that's part of the public open space. You're taking away green space in order to extend a car park, so that would have planning problems in itself.
Is there any way we could put one forward and then look at the legal implications on the other one over the next couple of months? There's nothing to say that we have to submit everything today, tomorrow. We can always go back with a further proposal.
Well, that would encompass Councillor Barrett's view on having a feasibility study. Exactly. So, because that I don't know if I can't see Councillor Barrett on the screen, so I don't know what he's doing. So
I think my finger's in the way.
Your fingers. Oh, there it is. Right. So, I mean, I'm assuming. I don't want to speak on your behalf, Councillor Barrett, but I'm assuming that your feasibility study would encompass public open spaces, antisocial stuff such as the floodlights, etc., 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 and obviously the residents, and us managing it on behalf of the residents. Is that what you would see?
Certainly the residents nearby. I'm thinking those whose gardens almost go onto it, because if you're going to have opposition, let's sort it out now rather than build something then have it later. That's the sort of feasibility I'm talking about as far as this is concerned. As far as the football one's concerned, well, I've explained that already to you.
Yeah. So are we possibly considering that we could in principle put forward the Mooga, but with some
more research
reservations
on
the football. So we're not saying no to the football bid. We're just saying you've got to do some stuff.
Sorry, Stephen and Sandra. I think what the issue is that the football club can't go any further at all. The Football Foundation do all the feasibility study, but they won't do anything until they've got an in-principle support from the parish council. That's how I understand it. Can I just ask the football club to just confirm that, if that's the case? Have I understood that correctly?
That's right, and that's absolutely correct. So unfortunately, at the moment, we've kind of prepared a basic bid structure on what we can actually get from the Football Foundation as it exists. Because we don't own the land, we don't own anything in Brixworth apart from a container, we can't do anything with them. I mean, the parish council can say, yes, we'll support Brixworth Juniors Football Club in their bid, and then write a letter to us saying we'll support the bid, and then the Football Foundation will help us. But without that kind of support in the background, we're stuck where we are, just with bits of paper going backwards and forwards, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
But it's all, sorry, through the chair, it's all irrelevant if the ashway is protected as a public open space.
I understand all this.
Yeah. But okay, but I think I was.
Then we can go to the Football Foundation, and they can do all these feasibility studies for us.
Okay, there's certain protocol that when someone is talking, they continue to talk until they have finished. So if I could finish, please.
You already said.
Thank you. Right. It's all. I understand the frustrations of the football club, but how much money they can give Brixworth Junior Football Club is absolutely, and Councillor Barrett, if you want to correct me, by all means, it's irrelevant if it cannot happen because of the barriers of a public open space and the residents do not want it because of the antisocial behaviour, etc., etc.
That's where we need to do the feasibility.
Sorry, isn't that already in the football facilities plan? The ashway's already, that part of the ashway.
The ashway's a public open space.
But it is
football ground.
But a 3G pitch, that was one of the areas, wasn't it, that was designated by, is that not right?
No.
Okay.
There was an area outside or up Mercedes, by Mercedes Avenue, designated as additional recreation ground.
Right.
In a plan 10, 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Ian, yes?
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah. Sorry to go back. I've had my hand up a long time, so I might be going a bit back in the discussion, but I'm just trying to get my mind around this multi-purpose use area. Can you just confirm what the surface is going to be made of as planned?
Okay, well, we've done a bit of research. I mean, the pictures on the show tarmac, but we've since discovered that tarmac isn't the best option.
Right.
And that surface called G2 would be the best option, which allows for the multi-use of sports.
Yeah, yeah. That might make it a bit more attractive to local residents as well.
Exactly, yes, so it won't be a massive...
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
And G2 is cheaper to maintain than grass, apparently. So they say.
All right.
Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, if I could just go back to my shouted proposal half an hour ago. Couldn't we just send both of these proposals back away and work them up again so we know exactly what the cost is, please, where they're going and everything else. So it's just on a couple of documents. If the football club are saying there is some money coming in, fine, I'd like to see that. I thought they were looking for 400k in their proposal and 250k was coming in from whoever it was, giving a deficit of 150. But might be wrong on those figures. But I think we just need to go away, look at both. Can we put it on St David's? football pitch, the Ashway, yes or no. Daventry will tell us the answer, so we can do that work ahead of that game and get all the answers, everything lined up, what 2G means, what the cost means and everything else, and then the councillors can make an informed decision.
So you'd rather put it back for a couple of months so that we just...
Yeah, I don't think, well, it's personally mine, I don't think you can go with one and leaving the other one aside. I think we've got to make sure we've got both right, we know the total costs, we know what we're talking about, and then we can make decisions based on that. And we've got definitely firm figures and things like that, whether it's Sports England, All England Tennis Club or what have you. But I'd just like to see the actual figures, please.
Okay. Ian?
No, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so Lynn.
I just need to reiterate that the football club can't come up with firm figures because they can't go any further forward until they get the support of the parish council. And I feel like I've said this quite a lot now. So surely the parish council could support in principle the proposal, which would then allow the Football Foundation to do the feasibility study, and we could find out from Daventry their legal position, but you could just give an in principle support letter of support, because otherwise they can't go any further forward. They haven't got the technical ability to do a feasibility study, which is why the Football Foundation is involved.
But at the moment, we don't know where it's going on the Ashway.
We do. Yeah, we do.
Where's the drawing?
It's going where on the tree line, at on the just where the hump is, down the bottom, sort of set down. We do know where it's going. It was all in the first lot of proposals that you were sent in time.
But there was several options in that document.
There it is. The picture's up there now.
Isn't that there's also another building on there?
Yeah. That's the changing facilities.
So that's not on the hump then?
Well, it is behind the hump and going into the trees. I'm not very good at explaining, but the picture shows you where it is.
Okay,
very
sorry.
Clearly.
Okay, sorry. Through the chair. When you said the hump, I thought you meant, and you said you described it as the woodland.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at the woodland, which goes the length of the Ashway.
Yeah.
And you've got in the bottom left hand corner, you've got the changing rooms. Yeah. That's where I thought.
You can see it. You can see it on the screen there.
If on the bottom, you've got the changing rooms on the bottom right hand side. So this football pitch is adjacent to the road. It's not adjacent to the back of the gardens on those houses which are slightly elevated in the woodland.
Exactly. It backs onto the road.
You said it backed onto the woodland.
Well, that is the woodland there.
No, it's not. That's a hedge.
Oh, sorry. It is a wooded area that gets lots of debris in it. Yeah.
It's a hedge.
That's where it is.
Yeah, the woodland, and I don't know if I'm the only person that understood this.
You mean the other side? Sorry. Yeah. Oh, sorry if I confused things, but it goes onto the road. So that's where it's planned to go, which is the parish council's own land.
Okay. Can I just say something? Okay, this meeting tonight was about putting forward proposals in principle. There is nothing stopping, even if there's nothing stopping, for example, the football lot putting forward this proposal directly to Daventry. They don't need us to put forward that proposal. I am very, very reluctant to then, just to be told, do you know what? Off you go, football lot. You do your stuff. Off you go, lot. Peter, you do your stuff about the Muga. Okay, this is something in principle. We're not here to decide on the colour of the swings. We're here on the principle. It is for Daventry to turn around and go, okay, you haven't answered this question, you haven't answered that question. That goes for the football lot, and it goes for the multi-use games area as well. To be told at this meeting, so like 4 years after the event, and after 3 years of working on this, right, can you go off and get some more detail? I'm not sure what more detail we need. Because at the end of the day, I'm sorry, I'm just going to finish it, because at the end of the day, okay, we need 3 quotes. We need 3 quotes, okay? Not just Compan. I've also put a second quote in from a company called Etc. We would need 3 quotes. So actually, this thing from Compan may be completely irrelevant. All the costings that they've done may be completely irrelevant because we need 3 quotes. Tonight is about the principle of, does Brixworth Parish Council want to spend its Section 106 money on a Muga? Does Brixworth Parish Council want to spend its money on a 3G football pitch?
Exactly.
Okay, let's just go forward with it. I agree with, there are some holes in the football lot because it's so complicated about management, public open spaces, etc. But seriously, I really do not see how much work we can do on the Muga to make it significantly any different to what we have already got on the table.
Okay, Ian?
Yeah, thank you. Can you just point me in the right direction to where this picture is? Because I can't find it in my copy.
Right at the bottom. Right at the bottom.
Is this the project proposal or weather sports pitch document?
What do you want, the picture of the football club, Ian?
It's the project proposal.
I've never seen this one before. It's on the screen.
It was in the proposal summary at the back of the document.
It's at the end.
At the end.
It's after the figures.
Just a reminder, Chair, that council
you.
meetings shouldn't exceed 2.5 hours.
I know, I was just looking at that. We've got about 8 minutes left, haven't we?
Yeah. Just to preserve everybody's sanity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, can I put a proposal on the table, please?
Yes, please.
Okay, I would like, in principle, to put forward the Muga to Daventry District Council. Okay, I'm just focusing on the Muga because I think they need to be separate. The 2 bids need to be separate. So I would like to put on the table that we put forward, in principle, to Daventry District Council the Muga.
Okay, I'll support that. I'll second that.
Thank you.
Okay then. So we've got a proposal, we've got a seconder. All those in favour of supporting the Muga proposal?
Yeah.
So if we could go through Lynn? Did you want to do a roll call? You've got everybody's names up.
So this is the proposal as proposed by Councillor Moxon that the Parish Council in principle supports the Muga. For or against, or abstentions please. Councillor Barrett?
For.
Councillor Bird?
For.
Councillor Elaine Cole?
Sorry, before I vote, can I know if this is my only vote?
Only vote on this one.
On this one, yes.
I think, are you asking whether we are allowed then to propose in respect of the football club, Elaine? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I want to vote for both.
No, the proposal is putting the Muga forward. We're dealing with the football thing separate.
Right, I'm against that then.
You're against the motion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt, but you can vote for on more than one.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what Elaine's
That's what I
seeking
was
clarity
asking.
on. It's not one or the other.
No.
Right.
Okay, I'm in favour then. This is why I wanted it clarified before. I did ask.
Stuart. Councillor Hardcore.
Four. Yeah.
Councillor James Collier.
For.
Councillor Lynn Compton.
For.
Councillor Lena Howarth.
For.
Councillor Stephen James seconded it. Councillor Mitchell's not here. Councillor Sandra Moxon proposed it. Councillor Kevin Parker.
For.
So that's unanimous.
Okay.
Chair?
Yes.
We will be getting a company in to give us the, to do the quotes, won't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
different.
We come on to that one in a moment.
Okay, sorry.
Actually, it might be a good point now to ask if we want to dispense with standing orders and continue with the meeting, since we've only got 5 minutes before the...
Yeah, I second that. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, in favour, quick.
Yeah.
All those in favour of dispensing with standing orders?
Yeah. Yeah. Need to carry on.
Yeah. Did anyone object? It's important.
Yes.
I object.
Yes, my leg hurts.
So does my
My brain hurts.
It does. I'm getting cramp.
You need to get some exercise.
So
Been in bed for 3 weeks.
apart, was that unanimous or not?
No.
It wasn't unanimous.
No.
There was two against.
Okay, thank you.
So is now the time that I can propose that we put forward the football club the football club
Yes.
proposal?
You can propose that, yes.
Yeah, I propose that
I'll
we
second it.
support the football club proposal.
I'll second it.
I can't vote because I've declared an interest.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
Should I go around the table on this?
Second it. I'll send that.
So that was proposed
Say
by
that.
Councillor Lane Core, seconded
By me,
Stuart
Stuart.
Core.
Yeah.
Thank you. The proposal as we support the football club bid in principle. Councillor Barrett.
Against.
Councillor Jackie Bird.
against.
Councillor Elaine Core.
Proposed.
Sorry, what was that? For or against?
I proposed it.
Oh,
Elaine
sorry.
proposed it.
Sorry. Councillor Stuart Core seconded it.
Seconded.
Councillor James Collier.
For.
Councillor Lynn Compton's got declared interest. Councillor Lena Howarth.
For.
Councillor Stephen James.
Against.
Councillor Sandra Moxon.
Against.
Councillor Kevin Parker.
Against.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 5 against. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Is that correct? Is that? Can I just go through that again? The five against was Councillor Barrett, Councillor Jackie Bird, Councillor Stephen James, Councillor Sandra Moxon, and Councillor Kevin Parker. Gives us 5. And the 4 people for the motion was Councillor Elaine Core, Councillor Stuart Core, Councillor James Collier, Councillor Lena Howarth, Councillor Lynn Compton abstained because she's declared an interest. So that's the motion is not carried. 5 to 4.
Could we have a recorded vote, please?
Yes, by all means, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Chair?
Yeah. Yes. Do we need to do that again, or is it because we've already got everyone's vote, haven't we?
We've got everybody's vote and we've got it recorded.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Item 6 is to consider the continuance or discontinuance of the Sports Council. This is really because, I mean, everything has now come back to the full council all the time. And it's really, is it time to say
Bye-bye.
no more?
Adieu.
The original idea was that the Sports Council took full responsibility for all facilities, and they took a broad strategic view, and all the sport activists are 100% committed to the clubs and couldn't really devote time to the central organisation.
Well, I'd like to make a proposal, Chairman, if I may, that we thank the Sports Council very much indeed for all the work they've done to get us to this point, and we remit everything now to full council.
I'll second that, Ian.
Chairman, it's Mike Parsons. Would you allow me to say a word?
Quickly, Mike.
I'll be brief. It needs to be replaced with something, because you do need to have dialogue between the organisations. I do understand the decision you made, but there needs to be some kind of cohesion between the clubs and the demands they make on the service they use. So please think about that, not now, but for the future. Thank you.
Sorry, when Neil Brown organised the Recreation Working Group, he suggested giving the Sports Council a try to see if it could take off, and he said if that didn't work, it was the recommendation from the working group was to install within the terms and conditions sports users that they meet on a regular basis. So that's to ensure that the facilities are maintained and in tune with what the users want. So that's an option for the council to consider another time.
Yeah, we can bring that back in a month or so. Yeah. So do we need to do a vote then?
Yeah, sorry, Stephen, just to say, just picking up on what Mike Parsons was saying, that's exactly what the agreement is with Crick Parish Council, is that all users are part of their, it's a charity that they have set up, and with the councillor being a trustee. So yeah, I absolutely agree with what Mike Parsons is saying.
Okay, we've got a proposal on the table. It's been seconded. So could we go through it again, Peter?
Yeah, so the proposal is to discontinue the Sports Council. And Councillor Barrett, for or against?
For.
Councillor Jackie Bird?
For.
Councillor Elaine Cole?
For.
Councillor Stuart Cole?
For.
Councillor James Collier?
For.
Councillor Lynn Compton?
For.
Councillor Lena Howarth?
For.
Councillor Stephen James seconded it.
Yeah.
Councillor Sandra Moxon?
For.
And Councillor Kevin Parker?
For.
So that's it carried.
Okay.
Homework.
Unanimous. Thank you.
Okay. Item 7 is to consider the appointment of a project management company, which was subject to decisions taken in item 5. Is to consider the appointment of a project management company to deliver the Brixworth Parish Council scheme, or schemes, because that includes the indoor and the outdoor. Peter, with my knowledge, approached YMD Boone to obtain some fee proposals for them undertaking the project management of the schemes. They've come back with a quote of 6% on the external works and 10% on the work to the library. This would include preparing feasibilities, going out to tender reports, and project managing the scheme all the way through to handover. And would basically take away any of the day-to-day responsibilities from Brixworth Parish Council. Although, having said that, we would probably need to have a working group working with them to make sure that we could meet delivery times for any urgent matters. We can use YMD Boom because that does comply with our finance regulations as a specialist company. They've been helpful in the process up to now. I know them.
Get that in. Right, go on with it then.
From previous years.
You're not there, are you?
Does anybody else have any comments?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd prefer to see 3 quotes. I just don't feel comfortable with only going to one company.
No, I agree.
We are limited to how many companies we can go to, certainly locally.
Okay, well, I'm happy to go and look for another one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we should be making a decision just based on one company coming forward. We need to prove value for money.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And that test hasn't been met.
That's not an issue at all. Not an issue at all.
But do we agree in principle that we can do
this? It's not an issue seeking alternative companies.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah. We can find some. I mean, I haven't got the knowledge who else is in the marketplace, so I'm sure it can't be that difficult to find some.
No, well, I can give you some. We can use what they've provided as a basis to find the other quotes. I thought that's what we'd agreed already, to be honest.
No, it was subject to financial regulations, and the finance regulations did allow us to pick one company.
Yeah, which is what we've done with planning consultants and whatever else. We've picked the company through choice rather than through the cheapest.
Mm.
But we can go out and get some more quotes. That's
super.
Sandra?
I absolutely agree with Lynn. We have to get 3 different quotes. I would actually like to take Lynn on her suggestion that she could also look for companies in her capacity as of being a clerk to a bigger council. She may know other companies. As you've said, there are limited amount of companies that do this work. So absolutely. I think the more of us that actually do the research to see which companies are out there that can help us do this, then the better. I don't know how you feel, Lynn.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I can have the brief that the quote was prepared on, I can do that, no problem at all.
Lynn, I'd rather Peter get the quotes.
Yeah.
And if you can put forward some names of people who do
that's fine.
That works so that everything goes through Peter.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
So if that's deferred, Chair, that's fine. Thank you.
I still need to know the sort of general brief so I know what questions to ask.
It's basically architectural, engineering, quantity surveying, the whole package.
Okay, lovely.
Okay, I'd like to propose that in principle, that we consider the appointment of a project management company to assist the parish council in bringing the schemes to fruition.
Can I second that, please, Chair?
Yes, certainly.
Sorry, who was that? Councillor?
Sandra.
Councillor Mogson, thank you.
Yeah. All those in favour of the motion?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Right, that completes all the stuff for decisions. Part 2 for information, to note dates of next cycle of meetings, planning on the 22nd and full council on the 25th. Have we got anything on legal matters, Peter?
No, nothing to report, Chair.
Okay. I've not been notified of any urgent matters. Have you?
No, nothing.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Sorry it's gone on for so long. But see you all on Monday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you join on, Stephen?
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Stephen, can you hang on?
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you doing? Sorry, Sandra rang me up today. Have you heard about this? Dallas Burston. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there's still somebody in. Okay.
Dallas Burston is putting a proposal in for a retail development up near
Where?
the cricket club. Sandra's got details. There's a load of shop units and a drive-through cafe, and a couple of starter units. He's a bugger, isn't he?
Whereabouts is that then?
Apparently it's on the field as you drive out before the cricket club.
Oh, just on the right.
Yeah.
On the right-hand side of that drive up to the cricket
But I
club.
said to Sandra, if he gets that, then the assumption is between that and the out of the edge of town becomes housing, because you've like extended the urbanisation. Because she said it includes a cafe, drive-through cafe, and a gym. So obviously he's trying to get the public on his side, isn't he?
Yeah.
So that'll be an interesting one. Because she said then the parish council become the bad buggers for opposing it. Because everybody will say, well, we want bigger shops, we want more variety, we want a gym, we want a drive-through cafe, and then he might have unlocked his areas of land.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's got care homes in, and he's got
He's just milking
bungalows in.
Yeah, but he's obviously following the what's going on in Brixworth with retail, isn't he?
Yeah. There from the safety of Jersey.
Yeah, yeah. From his internet in Guernsey or Jersey, wherever he is.
Yeah, wherever he is. Yeah.
But yeah, obviously there's a bigger plan. As I said, they'll work back into the village with the housing next.
But he spreads these rumours, doesn't he, very effectively, to gauge, and then it's whether then anything happens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so anyway, I thought I'd keep you up to date with that one. And obviously Mercedes is online for the next planning meeting.
Yeah.
And I've got comments from the CPRE already objecting, which I'll send to everybody prior to the meeting. Yeah.
Okay, you know the one for Brick Secure, was it 88A Northampton Road?
Yeah.
I'm going to go and take a photo up there sometime over the weekend. I'll ping it to you. Because there's a house next door to it that's got bedroom and bathroom windows that the dormer windows will look straight into.
Right. Okay.
Which is not clear from the plans.
Yeah.
So I noticed it this morning, but I haven't got my phone with me. So
Yeah.
and then that can be passed around or put on the screen, or however we want to do it.
At least we made a decision tonight.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced they could put it on the Ashway because that public open space restriction, you know.
I'm not convinced they'd get
Plan permission.
I think we could finish up with a great big bill if they went ahead with that, because I don't think they'd get all the funding.
I don't think they'd get funding either. I think it's a complete con. But I'm not confident. They're not. It's awful. They're not nice people to deal with. To be honest, the football club. They're doing things behind your back and checking up on you, and you're thinking you can just do without it.
Yeah. I mean, the last email I see was from that guy from the Football Foundation, which said that they couldn't put forward any funding proposals yet. Have you got anything else?
No. I said, can you commit to this? He put no.
And he said no.
And he said, it's not what you want. It's not. I know it's not what you want, but we won't. And that bloke that we met definitely said £100,000 max. He said to Village, you're not getting any more than 100,000. Definitely said that. And then she wants us to borrow money and get a grant, and yet they're not applying for a £75,000 grant.
No. So they could apply to Daventry for a grant.
Yeah. Or they could apply to Daventry. Man, they can't apply for anything until they get an agreement. on the land.
No. I mean, we'd need to sort out that public open space thing, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Before we went down the other route.
Yeah, I mean, funnily enough, I only went for the collected the agreement the other day, and it was mainly so I can scan it in, because I'm scanning the agreements in, and then I can link them to the land asset register.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's. But it does say it to be laid out, seeded and drained. And therefore transferred to Brixworth Parish. It doesn't say we have to maintain it, mind. It just says land and it overseeded and drained. But a seeded and drained public space area suggests that it needs maintaining to me.
But then, should it have football pitches on it anyway?
Yeah, because it's a public open space. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Because it doesn't say use of sport. Yeah. No, you're right. It doesn't mention sport. Yeah. But anyway.
So what were we doing? Putting changing rooms up there?
Yes. Yeah. It's funny. Neil's showing his face again. I don't know if he stayed till the end.
I don't think he did. But it's only because he lives opposite it, isn't it?
Yeah, but he lives at the other end, doesn't he?
No.
Oh, does he not? I thought he lived.
He lives opposite the changing rooms.
I didn't know that. Right, because he's the one that always emails me. Mark's smoking. Mark's parked the van on the grass. Mark's left the door open. Mark's
Well, that's why, because he can look out his bedroom window and see him.
I didn't realise. I thought he was at the other end.
No.
Oh, well, I'll live and learn then. Yeah.
Don't you remember he said, I don't know if you were here then, when he was on about that defibrillator at the changing rooms, he said he could go on his outside wall.
Yeah.
So that's how close he is to the changing rooms.
Yeah. But anyway, they won't like that decision, but at least it's a decision, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll just wait for the hate mail to come first.
Yeah, or they'll try and pick us up on a technicality. Yeah, I mean, if they do get funny on technicalities, I think Lynn should have left the room anyway, not took part in the debate. But that's by the by.
Yeah.
Because she was influencing it, wasn't she?
Trying to, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think she did influence it, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
The wrong way.
Yeah. Right. Oh, that's okay. And I'll get some more quote. I think they'll all quote the same, won't they?
They'll all be about the same, yeah.
But the further away they are, the more expensive they'll be because of travel. I'll get some in Cornwall and Devon to put as a price in. As long as they're good, it's just dangerous. Well, you know as well as I do. You get a cheap solicitor, can't you? But you lose your case.
I mean, I know all the firms around here.
Yeah.
Because I've worked with most of them.
Yeah.
And there's some I wouldn't
touch with it. Yeah.
I wouldn't touch with the price poll.
Yeah.
Where they've been sort of forced onto.
Yeah.
Something.
You see, Boons for the school, they actually fill the forms in. So I'm wondering whether he'll fill our 106 form in. They do that for the schools because they do the education forms to submit them to central government.
Yeah.
Schools don't touch anything. Their hands are completely clean. That's what's so good about them. Which is what we need. As a small parish council, we don't want them palming stuff back all the time.
No. I'll have a look at some names.
Yeah, if you could.
Yeah.
Of good ones, yeah. As you say, not the ones that you don't fancy.
No, there won't be.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay then, I'll go on.
So I don't know who Lynn's going to come up with, but there's no way I was going to let her get quotes.
Sandra was just deliberately doing that. I'm sure she was just doing it to Lynn to call her bluff. But
you know who Sandra wants to go to?
Who?
Well, that
compound.
Woman who was.
Yeah, you can't just do. You can't do that. I mean, if Boons are independent, if they turn around and say compound's the best, then that's it. I want to know if that fits in, to be honest, with that cricket wicket, with a cricket field. Presumably Boons can work that with the drawings that we've got.
Exactly, that's because we've got all the drawings,
We've got the drawings
and that's
already.
what you need.
Yeah. Okay then, Stephen. So I will catch up with you. And
Yes.
I need to get the agenda for the next meeting out tomorrow.